Carolina.
I'm
Welcome
good.
to Day 3 Virtual Summit. Hello.
Sorry. Can you repeat that, please?
Hi, Carolina. Welcome to Day 3 Virtual Summit. How are you?
I'm well, thank you so much.
So, thank you so much for joining this Day 3 Virtual Summit 2026. And you are the first speaker for this Day 3 Virtual Summit. We cannot see you, Carolina. Did you turn on your video?
Let me see. There we go.
Yes, I can see you. So, welcome our first beautiful lady on the stage, Global Virtual Summit 2026. So, I would like to introduce you to the audience who is Carolina and her biography. So, yes, welcome on stage, Carolina. So,
Thank
Carolina
you so much.
is a published author, international spiritual coach, healer, and intuitive guide dedicated to supporting high achieving women who feel overwhelmed by constant responsibility. She helps women reconnect with themselves by rebuilding self worth, releasing guilt, and setting healthy boundaries without disrupting their lives. Through intuitive coaching and transformational programs, Carolina creates a safe space for women to reclaim their voice, energy, and confidence, guiding them to lead from self worth rather than exhaustion. She is from country Canada, right? So,
Yes.
so this was a really an inspiring introduction of Carolina. So, if Carolina, we will play the pre-recorded session of Carolina today. At the end, if you have any questions, so you can ask her. You can just type in the chat so that she can respond. So yes, we are ready, and we will share the pre-recorded session of Carolina.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the introduction as
Thank
well.
you. Good luck.
Mhm. Good morning. I want to start off by thanking the organizers for inviting me to be a part of this conference. It's an honor to contribute to a gathering focused on women, especially as we approach International Women's Day. And before we begin, I'd like to invite us into a different pace, one that we don't normally live in, a little bit of relaxation. So I'd like you to take a deep breath in through your nose, not the polite one. Soften your shoulders and allow the breath to enter into your belly.
Is there a problem with
Hold it, and as you exhale out through your mouth, allow yourself to release the stress. You know you're holding it. And then again, in through your nose. Allow it to reach into your belly. Soften those shoulders. And exhale out through your mouth. Now just close your eyes softly. Take a deep breath in, normal breath. Just soften your breathing. And just thank yourself, because today you chose yourself. I'd like to tell you that most women in leadership do not lack skills. I know we know that. They do not lack intelligence, and they certainly do not lack work ethic. What they lack is space. The space to think clearly. The space to be able to feel honestly. And the space to make decisions that aren't driven by urgency or external expectations. Excuse me. Today, as we sit alongside International Women's Day, we celebrate progress. But I want to offer something deeper than celebration. I want to talk about evolution. because getting women into leadership was step one. How we lead now is step two. The future does not need more exhausted women carrying everything quietly. It needs women who are resourced, trust themselves, and are clear. Today is about a leadership shift from self-abandonment to authentic authority. And why that shift is what truly empowers tomorrow's leaders today. Let me tell you, I was an awkward child, painfully shy, afraid of my own shadow. I rarely even spoke with people, my best friends, who were my cousins, or a few school friends. I certainly wouldn't have been standing there making a speech. Making friends didn't come easily, and I worked really hard at it because it was important for me to fit in. As I grew, I realized something. I was different. I was deeply sensitive. In rooms full of people, I didn't just hear the conversations, I felt the emotions. I reacted to what other people were feeling before they said a word. In my large, boisterous Italian family, my shyness definitely stood out. The emotional intensity around me felt overwhelming. At the time, I didn't understand that sensitivity was my intuition. I thought it was a weakness. And when you think something about yourself is a weakness, you try to compensate. So I learned to read the rooms quickly. I learned to anticipate the needs of the people around me. I definitely learned to adjust my tone. I softened my opinions when I felt brave enough to speak them. And I became easier to manage. That adaptation looked like maturity, but what it was self-abandonment. I want you to hear this. Self-abandonment doesn't begin in boardrooms. It begins in belonging. When fitting in feels safer than being fully seen. I carried that pattern into adulthood. I married young. I know now it was far too young because I didn't know who I was. And when it became clear the relationship wasn't healthy, not because he was abusive, but because I had not entered into it truthfully. I didn't enter into my marriage as my authentic self. And during my marriage, I did what I had always done. I made myself smaller. I was quiet. I was less disruptive. And I never used my voice to contradict. I didn't want to rock the boat because I was afraid that if I did, I would be abandoned. I would lose the person who loved me. But that happened anyways. Silence at the time felt safer than disruption. And then when my marriage did end, I remember standing in the shower asking out loud, why did this happen? Why me? Just why? That moment created a little crack because beneath the grief was a deeper truth. I had abandoned myself long before anyone else did. I began to question my self-worth. I questioned whether I deserved better. And from that place of doubt, my actions became brash and self-damaging. I swung from silence to harshness, from small to reactive, from self-erasure to self-protection without wisdom. I didn't process the pain of that abandonment. I projected it out. I played the victim and I blamed others. But I had also participated because I had floated along in my own life. I did not use my voice. I did not anchor into myself. And that theme of not wanting to rock the boat followed me everywhere. The better question to ask was, where did I abandon myself? When did I abandon myself? I had to ask those questions because I could no longer blame the circumstances and the people. I had to look inside. It helped me move from being the victim to responsibility. And responsibility is not blame. Responsibility is power. If I had participated in my own disappearance, then I could participate in my return. That was the beginning of authentic authority. Not louder leadership, internal leadership. And here's what surprised me. Self-abandonment didn't disappear when my marriage ended. It simply changed costumes. I wish I could say that once I saw the pattern, it stopped, but it didn't. Patterns don't dissolve because we become aware of them. They dissolve when we choose differently, repeatedly. And I'll tell you, after my marriage, I searched. I went out with all kinds of people, trying to find the right partner, the right career, and to learn who I really was. Who am I? Became a constant question. I was building a life that from the outside looked really strong because I built careers and I walked away from them. Then I built again and I walked away from them again. Each reinvention felt hopeful. Each disappointment felt personal. Externally, it looked like ambition. Internally, I was still lost and disconnected. But I submerged myself in societal norms. I chased what others expected. I chased what normal is supposed to look like. And in doing so, I lost myself again and again. I allowed people to take advantage of my goodness because being needed proved my self-worth, didn't it? I overgave of myself and my time. I over-accommodated other people's needs and wants over mine. And I over-delivered. All the while, I was still trying to earn that sense of belonging. And this is where self-abandonment becomes dangerous. We confuse being needed with being valuable. We confuse being agreeable with being strategic. And we confuse endurance with strength. It all sounds like, I'll just handle it. It's easier if I do it. Listen, I don't want to make this a big deal. It's fine. But slowly, patience shortens. resentment builds, energy drains, and identity blurs. Just take a moment and replay what it sounds like and how it becomes. How does this show up in your life? I know that the many women I've worked with say, I don't recognize myself anymore. I'm irritated all the time. I don't have the bandwidth to listen to anyone else. That isn't incompetence. Those words are from women whose internal boundaries have been crossed far too many times and far, far too long. Leadership becomes emotional labor and responsibility without restoration. But the truth is, an empty vessel cannot lead powerfully. Self-abandonment erodes authority because authority requires congruence. When your yes betrays your no, your body knows. And eventually, so does your leadership. During my work, I began seeing this pattern everywhere. Not in women who were failing, in women who were succeeding. Women like Sarah. Sarah is a senior executive in a fast-paced organization. She is described as strategic, very well respected, and also known as the one who holds everything together. When she came to me, she didn't say she was burnt out. She said, I'm just tired. Tired of regulating everyone else's emotions. Tired of smoothing tension. Tired of picking up work that wasn't hers because it was faster. She said something I will never forget. I don't even know what I want anymore. I can definitely tell you what everybody needs and wants. That is executive level self-abandonment. Reliability without boundaries becomes self-erasure. But what was most revealing wasn't just what was happening at work. It was what was happening at home. She would walk through the door already depleted from the day. Her partner would ask a simple question and she would snap. Her children would need something small and it felt enormous. Her reactions became extreme. And it wasn't because she didn't love them. It was because she had nothing left to give. She told me once quietly, I'm patient with everyone all day. And the people I love the most get what's left of me. A sentence stopped us. This is the hidden cost of high-functioning self-abandonment. It doesn't just drain your leadership. It erodes your relationships. When a woman overfunctions long enough, she stops innovating at work. And she stops feeling present at home. All of her energy goes to maintaining the stability. That's not sustainable leadership. That That's survival in a tailored suit. With Sarah, we didn't start with time management. We started with identity, rebuilding who she was. And one question I asked was, who are you if you disappoint someone? Silence. I let it sit for a bit. Then I asked, who are you if you're not needed? Deeper silence. Most women don't struggle with boundaries because they don't know how to say no. They struggle with boundaries because they've learned that they're rewarded for being accommodating. They've learned that safety came from being needed. And they equated self-sacrifice with worth, self-worth. When Sarah began setting small boundaries, her nervous system panicked. She got pain in her gut that she couldn't explain where it came from. Growth doesn't feel empowering at first. It's painful and destabilizing. But slowly, over time, she stopped rescuing every meeting. She delegated without over-explaining, and she allowed projects to wobble. Her team stepped up. They too felt the shift. And something else happened. She walked into her home with energy again. She listened without irritation, and she laughed more. Her authority strengthened at work because she was no longer abandoning herself everywhere else. Not because she became harder, but because she became clearer. That is authentic authority. Excuse me. This is the foundation of my coaching work. I don't teach women to become louder. I help them to become clearer, to become clear in what they want and need, to clearly identify what they will tolerate, and they become clear in how they lead. Because until a woman believes she is worthy of her own limits, no boundary will hold. Until she believes her clarity matters, she will continue over-explaining. And until she believes she is allowed to disappoint others, she will continue to overfunction. This work is not about becoming someone new. It's not about exploding your life. It's about remembering who you were before you learned to disappear. That is the shift from self-abandonment to authentic authority. You know, if I could speak to the younger version of myself, that shy girl trying to fit in, I would say, your sensitivity is not a weakness. Your voice matters, and you are worthy to speak your truth. Shrinking yourself will never make you powerful. And to the women in this room, I want to leave you with something direct, not inspirational, direct. Empowering tomorrow's leaders today does not begin with policy changes. It begins with personal congruence. The leadership model you embody becomes the template that others inherit. If tomorrow's leaders watch us succeed while exhausted, they will believe exhaustion is a requirement. If they watch us carry everything quietly, they will believe that silence is strength. And if they watch us abandon ourselves for external approval, they will believe that that is the cost of power. But if they watch women lead with clarity, hold the boundaries, make decisions without apology, and rest without shame, we change the model. This is not soft work. This is structural work. So here is the decision point. Where are you still abandoning yourself to maintain success? And are you willing to stop? Not dramatically, not loudly, but consistently. Because the woman who can tell herself the truth and act on it does not just change her life. She changes rooms. She changes organizations. And she definitely changes generations. You do not need to become more. You need to become congruent. That is your authentic authority. And that is how we empower tomorrow's leader today. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Unfortunately, I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to be live because I just had day surgery done. So thank you for listening. If there are any more questions, feel free to ask. Okay. So if there's anyone interested, you can follow me on Facebook or Instagram. I will be hosting a workshop soon. So the information will be on both those sites. Just type in my name, Carolina Mauti, and you can find my profiles. Let's see. Excellent. I will share my contact. Yes, I will.
Yeah.
Thank you so
Thank,
much.
thank you so much, Carolina Moti, for the wonderful presentation. It was really a good start with the Day 3 Virtual Summit 2026. So you can share your contact details. Okay.
This is my Facebook.
Yeah. Yes.
And here's my email. Excellent.
And yes, you have got a lot of appreciations and questions. So many questions to ask. So I will only pick one question for you. So
Okay, where
this is
did
a question from Xavier Fernando. How can women reclaim their voice and personal power?
Yes, so I did respond, and I think that it's an extremely important question that was asked. And women need to reclaim their voice and personal power by being honest with themselves first. It's the most important thing. We need to come back to who we are, where what is important to us, what are our values, what do we need, and what do we want. And once we determine that, then we're able to say, okay, this is important, so I need to be able to voice it. And that's important. But until we know what we want, it's hard to do. And it's also hard to set boundaries because as women, we tend to be feel guilty about it all. So for me to say no to someone else and say yes to myself, that brings on guilt. And it's a very common feeling for so many people. What I think is important is that women need to realize what they want. I can't tell you how many women I ask, what do you want? And they have no clue, none whatsoever. But if I ask them, what does your husband want? Oh, yeah, this is what he wants. What are his favorite foods? Oh, yeah, this is what his favorite foods are. What about your boss? And it just continues to go from there. But I hope that's good. Oh, I see another message come in from Charlotte. How can women start rebuilding their self-worth and reconnecting with themselves? Really good question. Again, it goes back to knowing who they are. Okay. Inherently, Charlotte, we all are worthy of anything that we want that is healthy for us. Okay. But somewhere along the way, either when we were growing up or maybe something happened um, in our life, it changed our self-worth. For me, it was when I went through my divorce. It made me question who I was and was I worthy of having a good relationship. So this started. What really helped me was to be able to define, and I'll go back to Javier's question, is define what I wanted, what was important to me, what were my values, and then slowly, step by step, to be able to say, this is a value. So for me, not working weekends, let's say, is something that is valuable to me. It's what I want. I want time with family, with friends, with my partner, without work, let's say. So I don't check my emails on the weekends. And that's a step that was really in the beginning very difficult to do. I'm not saying that any of this is easy. And that's the challenge when we tackle self-worth and boundaries. It's important for us to be able to say, this is important to me. And once we start down that path, we are able to become stronger. Our voice becomes stronger. We start breaking the pattern of putting ourselves last. And a simple question of, a work question, can you take that extra project on? Well, what do I say no to? I can't take that extra project on if I'm expected to be able to be home for 6 o'clock for dinner with my family. It's not going to happen. So how do we say no to a project that will take us away from what we value? So that's a decision. A lot of people I know, a lot of women I know, will put the job ahead of themselves or even ahead of their families. And we have to ask ourselves, why? And ask yourself, what will happen if I say no? That's as simple as that. Charlotte, I hope that answers your question. Let me know if if it doesn't, feel free to send me a message either on Facebook or on email, and I'll be happy to discuss this further with you. Also, just to let you know, I know I'm coming up short. I am going to be running a workshop shortly about breaking patterns in our lives. So if you're interested, do send me a message and I'll send you the link to register when it's coming in play. I do appreciate the time. I think my internet is going wonky again. So I do appreciate the time, and I thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Carolina, for giving responses to our audience. And so, thank you so much for joining and encouraging our conferences. So, please do support our future conferences also. We need inspiring women like you for our future conferences. So, please join our next sessions and inspire them with your questions. And yeah, thank you once again. And please
Thank
do join our next session speaker, Katerina.
I will. Thank you.
Bye
Take
bye.
care. Bye-bye.
So, ladies and gentlemen, please do join our next speaker, Katerina Hosier. She's already waiting in the backstage. So, let's welcome her.